Welcome back to your English class, students. Today we will continue with the innate description of your poem, How to Tell Wild Animals, which is given in the textbook titled as First Flight from class 10th. Students, in the previous discussion, we had already gone through the detailed description paraphrase-wise. That is, we had tried to understood what Carolyn Wells meant by those lines which were being written in the stanza. Now, as promised, we are back here again. This time we will be dealing with much more intricate descriptions. Like, for example, first we'll take up the literary devices being used in this poem. So, as you can see, there are two of the literary devices being used primarily. The first one is known as poetic license. Now, try to understand, students, when we are talking about poetic license, it means a type of license which is being taken up by a poet by changing a few of the grammatical or spelling changes in order to suit the mood of the poem. For example, if we take into this stanza here, these lines are being taken up from the third stanza of your book, from the second line of the third stanza to be exact, and the lines are, as soon as he has leapt on you, you'll know it is the leopard. 'Twill do no good to roar with pain, he'll only leapt and leapt again. Not only that, there's one more stanza where there's the description of the chameleon, which is the sixth and the last stanza. The stanza is like that. The true chameleon is small, a lizard sort of thing, he hasn't any ears at all. 'Tis the chameleon you see. So these are the three lines. Two of the lines have been taken up from the third stanza, and the last line is being taken up from the last line of the sixth stanza. Why have I given these examples? These examples have been given to give you a hint as to what are the types of changes which a poet takes in the form of poetic license. Like here, if you see, the spelling being used is LEPT. Now, if you go backwards and if you try to remember the forms of the verbs you have studied till now, you would have remembered, students, that the third form of the verb leap, that is LEAP, leap, the third form of that word is being written as LEAPT. So, even though the pronunciation is the same, that is leapt, but the spelling is very different from the one which is being used here. Not only that, in the next line, leapt and leapt again. Here also, the original spelling is LEAP. So it should have been leap and leap again. Instead of that, Carolyn Wells has actually changed the spelling as well as the pronunciation in order to suit the rhyming scheme as well as the mood. In the last line, this chameleon you see, it should have been this is the chameleon which you see. So poetic license is being used in abundance in this poetry. Apart from that, there is the prominent usage of alliteration, which you all have studied till now. Alliteration is the literary device where a writer or a poet uses a common consonant sound, initial consonant sound, which is being repeated. Like here in this term, roaming round. So the initial consonant sound is R. So that has been used here. Even if you have taken up lep and lep again, the sound of L is being repeated here. So these were the two poetic devices which are being used. Apart from that, students, there were a few of the things which I thought would be very, very useful for you. Like if we take into example, when we talk about the simple basic description, we all know that it is actually she is talking about taking draconian measures by placing our own life at risk while trying to identify the wild animals. But students, if we try to understand it much more deeply, then we'll find out that she has tried to draw a little bit of metaphorical parallel with everything which is happening around, or the type of people we face in our life. For example, a large and tawny beast. Yes, here the large and tawny beast is being referred to the Asian lion. But don't we actually meet such kind of people who look to be very majestic and who look to be very grand and royal? But when you actually realize their true intention, they may turn out to be harmful in the future. Think about it. Then, when you actually move on directly to the stanza 4, you will find that I had already stated this term which was very prominently used, that is beer hug. Students, beer hug is a term which we generally use while giving a very warm and friendly hug to our friends and family. But when we talk about the description being provided by Caroline Wells in this stanza, where she is asking us to identify beer, and how is she asking us? That if a bear comes and there's a creature and it hugs you very tightly, then you may easily find out that it's a bear. And in case you have any doubts, then don't worry, it will just give you one slight caress. Caress means a light touch, which is completely paradoxical to what actually a bear does, or how a bear hugs a real person. So here again, if we try to draw the parallelism, we can easily find that the warm people, the so-called warm people we encounter in our lives, who seem to be very friendly, very warm, who seem to understand us a lot, they also can actually result in backstabbing us, or those who are also responsible for some or the other downfall of ours in the future. Similarly, when we move on to the next stanza, that is the 5th stanza, to distinguish the beasts of prey between crocodile and the hyena, she states that we are talking about the crocodile's tears. Usually we use the term crocodile tears as false guilt, or fake guilt which is being faced by some person. We sometimes state this in the example. Let's take for an example. I don't believe in the crocodile tears of that person, which means I don't believe in the fake guilt or the fake pain being shown by a particular person. So here easily it is understood that tears may not always result in the real pain or real acceptance of some fault. They can be a show off as well. And when we talk about the hyena, it's laughing. So yes, not all that glitters is gold. So not all laughing creatures can turn out to be the friendly ones. They may actually result in the much more destruction, or causing much more harm to us as well. And last but not the least, when we talk about the chameleon. Chameleon is the one creature which actually hides itself by changing its outer appearance, by camouflaging with its surroundings. So somewhere or the other, it is all. I think Caroline Wells also tells us that this is a very smart way of a creature to save its own skin. Like when we talk about the rest of the creatures, we get to know that they have some or the other qualities. Some can roar and can cause heart failure. Some can hug you very tightly. Some person can keep on leaping on you. They have that stamina to jump on you. Some people can actually lure you with their smile, with their laughter, with their tears. But when we talk about the chameleon, it is a lizard sort of a thing. It is very small as compared to the rest of the animals being given. It is a lizard sort of a thing. It doesn't have any ears, so it cannot guess in case there is any harm coming to him, and not a single wing. So if there is some harm which is going to befall upon such a small creature which is like a lizard, it does not have any option to save itself. First thing first, because it cannot hear, because it has no ears, and the second thing is it does not have any wings, through the help of which it can fly away. But if there is nothing on the tree, this is the chameleon you see. So what does it do in order to save itself? It hides itself by changing its outer appearance. So somewhere or the other, she is trying to give this morale to us, that in case you are smaller, you are weaker than everyone around in this world, don't think that you are weak enough, because nature, this whole nature, had actually given you plenty to sustain. You may have heard of that Darwinism, the theory of Darwin, right? That survival of the fittest. What does it mean? That in a world where only the fittest or the best survive, the person who is able to sustain can only be the survivor amongst all. So somewhere or the other, she actually tells us not to lose hope, because if a small animal like chameleon can actually survive amongst so many dangerous and harmful creatures by just changing its skin color and changing its outer appearance, then so can we. No, do not take it in that way that in order to survive we have to not show our true colors. Please do not take it in a negative manner. It actually means that sometimes we need to make certain changes in ourselves in order to sustain in this world. Yes, it may seem simply out of the blue. How did ma'am actually tell me such a huge moral? Well, this is not such a huge moral. It's a simple life lesson. You may encounter every type of person in this life, like a tiger, which is a royal one, roaming around, looks majestic. When we talk about the lion, someone huge, we can meet someone who has a lot of power, so much power that when that person speaks up, you feel as if your heart is bursting out of your chest. Or you may encounter the leopard, which is very quick, very fast, and very much able to keep up with itself, and can even kill you with the speed. That what is the meaning of killing you with the speed? It means that you may not be able to keep up with the speed with which that person is going, and it's absolutely okay. Even the person who seems to be the one first friendly person, the bear, which can actually crush you with its bear hug. Then the cheaters. Remember the cheaters? The crocodile and the hyena with the help of the tears as well as the smile. But even in this, the man-eat-man world, even if you are the smallest creature, you are very, very important, because you have something which none of these creatures have. And what is that? Able to survive, the ability to sustain in this world, no matter what happens. Every person is special, every creature is special. So we should not think that because we have not got something very special, something very similar to the other person, then we are nothing. No. We are being provided by something which the other creatures may or may not have. So always remember to keep your head high and your feet on the ground. That is, always be down to earth while having full confidence in your heart and your abilities. That's all from my side, children. Hope I was able to deliver this chapter to you in a much more detailed manner, and I sincerely hope that all the doubts related to this chapter and its importance in the syllabus and in your life somewhere was being able to be justified. In case of any other query, please go ahead, post up your comments, post up your queries, and I'll definitely make sure that all of your queries are being cleared up as soon as possible. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.